So the first thing that you want to do is connect the data. So you can see my former project is here. So projects that you create will show up here over time. And they're called workbooks because you can create, just like an Excel document, you can create multiple sheets. You can create the same type of thing in a workbook. So I'm going to open up the text file. Takes a little while, and that's my text file that I ended up with. The first thing that you want to do is make sure, because Tableau is just taking a stab at what type of data that you have. You want to make sure you go through the columns and identify, since it was a CSV, it doesn't have any of that information embedded within it. So anything that is an ID number that you would not do math with, you want to say that it's a string. That means text. You don't want it to try to average or calculate or think that it's an output number of any kind. It's purely text. Assignment title's text. Points earned is a value. Assignment ID, that's not an outcome, that's a descriptor. Module number, we're not really going to do math with it. It is more like a label. So we'll call that a string. Type is writing, and points earned, that is not a string, that is actually a decimal number. Okay. Once you've identified and made sure that you have all your values correctly labeled, that helps Tableau to know what it can do with that type of data. And it also, if it's a descriptor, it knows that it's a dimension rather than a measurement. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to the worksheet. It's lagging a little bit due to the screen recording I'm doing right now. It should go faster for you. Okay. So now is where we get to play with the data. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to look at the average percentage per module. So I can add them here, or I can just drag them to the sheets. So I'm going to go ahead and drag them up here. So here is the modules. And we don't want the count of the modules. Actually, it's misunderstanding. It's not a measure. It's a dimension. That may help things. Module, there we go. So for every module, I want to see the percent earned. Now I don't want to see the percent earned in a column. I want to see a calculation. Oh, it says it's a dimension, that's why. Let's bring it down to measurement. There we go. Let's remove that and try it again. There we go. Okay. So we want to, I don't really want to see all of the percentages added together because it automatically assumes, okay, you want a sum of the value. So double click and you're going to want to see the average percent earned. Okay, so I should turn off my messages. Okay, so here is a graph. Guess that doesn't work. So automatically it colors it blue, and that's your default. Now you can relabel this sheet name. So we'll just call it average percent earned, average module percent earned. Now I want to vary it by color. So now you can have other attributes. So I want to have the percent earned and not the sum. Again, I want average percent earned, and just have it vary by color. So the highest percent earned should be darker and down to lighter. Now, of course, you can edit the colors, and there's different color schemes, different palettes that you can use. So that just is by clicking color, and then you can do that. I'll just do the automatic. Now you have an interactive visual. You can sort. It goes default, descending, ascending, and then back to default. You can order by modules, ascending, descending, or default. And again, because it's text, that's where it's going to look a little weird if you arrange it descending. It's just the default in which it was input. That's the downfall of making a module a number. It could be that you decide you want to go back to number rather than treat it like text, but still make it a dimension. Okay, so that is the average module percent earned. Now you can still play around with it, or you can go on and make another sheet and have another graph so that you can keep building it. So you can make a new worksheet. You can rename it. So we can rename it just like we do in Excel. So module percent. Now we can do the same thing. Let's say we have module, and then we have percent earned. We want average. And let's say instead of percent earned being the color, let's say we want the assignment title. Now it doesn't really provide a lot of information, and ideally you don't want more than 7 colors or so. This is just too many colors. You don't want to break it down like that. But it's good to explore and see what it does, and then it automatically creates a hover. Now, you don't want that many colors. It's not meaningful. It doesn't help, but it's good to explore around. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the points earned for the color, and I'm going to sort it. And actually, I've already done that in module 1, or the sheet 1. So let's go ahead and do a different type of thing. Let's do assignment type for the row. Now see, if you have more than one, you can do that, but I just want to do assignment type. So if you had module and then average percent earned, and see, what's nice about this is maybe I do want to leave it here, because then you can actually see the percent earned by type per module. But let's go ahead and take it out first. So now we can see the average percent earned by type. Now again, it's, I don't know why it's doing, oh, make sure that this says average. So we don't really care about the sum of the percentages. There we go. And then we could say average percent earned by assignment type. Now let's go ahead and make another one. We'll just duplicate this sheet because we only want to make and module. So we'll take the module and we'll put it in here. So now we've got the same stuff, but you've got them, it's sorted by modules. So you could look and see if there's anything interesting about, so again, like the Excel data, we noticed lesson 12 is pretty low, and lesson 1 in writing. But overall, they kind of hover around the same thing. Now, you could have type, if you put this first, then the first column is the type and the second column is the module, and then you can sort. Now when you group them, it doesn't go back to a sort, it sorts within that grouping. Now it could be that you, instead of sorting by or coloring by percent earned, you want to color by type. So let's go ahead and do that. And we want to color by type. And here, and that's an appropriate use of color because that makes it a little bit easier. Now you wouldn't necessarily need the type, although it groups it by module for you. So now you can see that. You can customize your tooltips as well. Let's go ahead and see if we can find, let's see, we want the assignment ID. Or, no, we don't want this. Well, let's see if there's any interesting percents earned by the assignment. Like, is there a particular assignment that's pretty low? And we can go ahead and we'll say average percent per assignment ID. So we can see if are there any assignments that are particularly low. So let's go ahead and let's do the color. Percent earned on the color again, and again, we don't care about the sum. Want the average. A lot of hundreds. So again, we have a lot of data here. And it could be that maybe the assignment ID isn't that useful, that we need the assignment title. You could remove the assignment ID. Sometimes if you want to alphabetize in the order that they were, it's nice to have it in an ID if that's meaningful to sort by. So here, let's go ahead and sort, and let's just look at the bottom ones. Overall, they're pretty good. Now you could have a label at the end. Let's say it's really hard for me to see the numbers. You could add labels. And then you could also format those particular labels if you want. So here we can see that the Lesson 12 and Lesson 1 quiz, if you wanted to see what quizzes are the most problematic, you've got, again, you're up to 90%. So everyone in this course did pretty well.